So today we will build a simple setup that can add variation even to a single note, but also create beautiful movement with chords and polyphony. This is how it sounds like. As always, I added also the ideas from this video to the PDF of tips and tricks I keep on updating. It's available on my Patreon together with the project file from this video and from many other videos. So we will create this in the note grid. I have it set to polyphony of 16 voices, so it will work on each voice, and I have here the polymer set up. And the idea is to mix the incoming pitch with random offset and transpose the notes to add movement. So we will start by adding variation with one steps sequencer, and the random aspect will come from the movement of the sequence. So we will do this with an LFO and the dice module. Right, the LFO will trigger the dice. I will set it also to a pulse wave, and the dice will generate random values that will then randomize the rate of the LFO. Now for this, since we create a feedback loop, we will need the long delay, right? If I take the dice and I try to connect it directly to the rate input, it will not let me connect it because we need to use the long delay when creating feedback loops. I just set it to the shortest delay time, and then the dice will go to the long delay, and then from there to the rate input. I will set also the LFO to Hertz, so it's not synced to anything, and the dice to bipolar, right? So it will take the rate of the LFO up and also down. And this we will use to drive this steps sequencer. So for this we will need the phase counter, right? We are using pulses. So the LFO will trigger the counter, and the counter will scan through the sequence. In this case, we don't need the phase pre-chord because we are using an external phase signal. And now we have a random source, right? If I hold one note and I bring in the modulation, right? Maybe set it also to, let's say, 3 Hertz here, right? You can see how the sequence runs. Right, sometimes it will be slower, sometimes faster. And if I hold another note, again, we have this polyphonically, so we have 2 of them, right? Or another note, and we have 3. Now we will add this sequencer to the incoming pitch. So first of all, I would like to limit the range. So I will use the pitch scaler and set it to 2 octaves, right? So we have a range of 2 octaves that will be added to the incoming pitch we play with the keyboard in this case. I will leave also only the first step on the sequencer, right? Maybe something like this. And for now we will use the add module to add the pitch with the sequence, right? So the add will go and will add the incoming pitch with the sequence that we set up, right? And now if I start, let's say I hold just one note, right, it will be added to this pitch. And if I hold a chord, for example, right, this is clearly not quantized to any scale. So what we can do now, we can add the pitch quantizer or pitch quantize module, and you can experiment with different intervals, but I found it best to stay with octaves and perfect fifths. So basically we just leave the note C and G active. This way this will stay more or less musical, and this will apply to any note just because it says C and G. This is just the interval, the space between the notes, and not the notes themselves, right? So now if I play something, right, I'm just holding a chord and you can hear the movement. And now we can add even more sequencers for even more variation. So I will duplicate the counter and the sequencer, let's say to have this 3 times. I will change the value of the first step, right? Sometimes it will be higher, sometimes lower. And of course, when they meet, they will also be added together because we will soon enough mix them. First of all, I would like also each of them to have a random source. So I will also duplicate this LFO setup and use each of them to trigger the other sequencers. And maybe also here we have 3 Hertz. Maybe here we'll have 4 Hertz and maybe here we'll have 2 Hertz, right? Again, just to have something a bit different for each of them. And then we will mix them before the scaler, right? Just with a normal mixer, nothing too special here. And again, when they meet each other, because they run randomly, they will meet each other also at random places or random times. They will be added together and they will transpose things differently each and every time. Right, so again, now I just hold one note. Right, you can see they run more or less randomly, sometimes slower, sometimes faster. Maybe this one is a bit stuck, maybe take it a bit down here with the modulation. Right, and now hold the chord. Right, you can hear the movement. And of course you can experiment also with different intervals, with different LFO rates, with different sequences. Right, but you can hear how it adds movement. And this is basically the setup. Again, pretty simple but very effective. And you can try this on all sorts of sounds and voices. Here I have something recorded. I just recorded notes and this is how it will sound like. Right, again, there's not a lot of movement in the notes as you can see, but most of the movement is coming from this setup. And just to make this even more beautiful, I have here a delay. And I have here a chain of 2 pitch shifters, one an octave down, one an octave up, as a sort of a granular delay. Listen to this. And before I add the other voices, thank you so much for watching. Again, consider joining us on Patreon for lots of extra content. Cheers!